Hi, today's video is all about the creatures that work in my garden. I see them there each day, but I never really knew much about them. So I've filmed them and then done a bit of a Google search on each. This first shot, I wasn't sure if it was a millipede or a centipede. So a bit of a Google search tells the difference between them. Millipedes tend to have a rounded body and centipedes tend to have a flat body. This looks pretty rounded. Millipedes have two pairs of short legs each side of each body segment, whereas centipedes only have one pair each side of the body segment. This has so many legs, it has to be a millipede. Millipedes have a shorter antenna than the centipedes, and even though this looks like a pretty long antenna, I think maybe it's shorter than a centipede might have. Millipedes move in slow waves. It doesn't look that fast to me. Millipedes eat decaying wood, fungus, vegetable matter, and centipedes eat spiders, insects, worms, and other arthropods. I like it when these little creatures eat the decaying matter. This next video shows three different lots. There's slaters, slugs, and Plenarian worms all underneath the pot. That is a Plenarian worm. We'll come back to it and just chase the slaters for a while. I used to see slaters as a personal enemy, but I've learned how to not hate them so much by protecting my seedlings in a way that these little slaters can continue to feed on decaying matter and not eat my seedlings. They're actually amazing little critters. There's thousands of different species of them, and I think I've got a few of them just under this pot. They seem to like to hide under leaves and mulch, and there's a few of them scurrying to be under the leaf. Apparently female slaters don't lay their eggs, they keep them in a pouch under their body, and the baby slaters stay in that pouch for a short time after they hatch. A bit like a kangaroo really, isn't it? The young slaters look like they're adults, but they have one less body segment and pair of legs than the adults. Now they're going to have to scurry away again. Then on the lower right hand corner there's a slug, and also in the upper right hand corner is a slug. I call that a leopard slug. Don't know if that's the right name for it, but that's what I call it. Slugs are related to snails, except they don't have a shell. They both have a large, muscular, oozy, slimy part of their underbody that's called a foot, and that's what helps them to move. They exude mucus from their foot as well that coats the ground, lubricates the ground, and helps them to move. They also have 4 antennae. There's 2 large antennae on top that helps them to sense light, and then the 2 shorter bottom antennae helps them to sense smell. They're hermaphrodites, so they can self-fertilise, but they tend to mate with other slugs. And the way that the slugs work in my yard is they provide food for birds and other creatures. I don't think I like their job description very much. Now just at the tail end of the slug is the Plenarian worm. I'd never heard of that before, and I don't think I like what I've read about it. They're predators and they feed on things like earthworms, snails, slugs. I'm okay with that part. Woodpedes, millipedes, things like that. Not sure that I really want the Plenarian worm working in my backyard. And of course there's lots of compost worms working in my backyard. These ones I think are red wrigglers. These worms were located in the top few centimetres of my yard underneath leaf mulch. Their size and appearance and the location of where I found them puts them into a group of worms called Apogee Worms, and they turn the leaf litter into good soil, helping the beneficial soil bacteria and fungi. There's also some paler coloured worms that I have that go into the endogeic earthworm category, and they burrow down and form holes. And this skink works by eating flies and other insects. Interesting thing about skinks is they can actually drop their tail and regenerate a new one. It's sort of a defensive mechanism if there's a predator going to eat them. I'm really privileged to have a lot of bees working in the yard. Bees play an important role in pollinating flowering plants and also my edible fruits and plants. Apparently about a third of the human food supply depends on pollination by insects such as bees, along with birds and bats and other insects. Bees have a pair of large compound eyes that cover most of the surface of their head, and between and above these are 3 small eyes that provide information on light intensity, and their antennae have large numbers of sense organs that can detect touch, smell and taste. Here's a hoverfly hard at work in my yard. They're about the second most important pollinator next to bees, and they also control garden pests such as aphids and scale. Love seeing these little guys around the yard. This one looked like he had a broken wing, but he flew off that and realigned his wings, so he was okay. It's a bit hard to see this next footage, but this is of 3 different birds that frequent my garden. The first 2 there that look like they were doing some sort of a mating dance for a third bird, they're crested pigeons, and their diet's mainly seeds, crops and weeds. Unfortunately, a lot of the little seedlings that I planted along that area there are no longer in existence because I think that they've cleared them out. Here's a little blackbird. He is so busy. I don't have snails and slugs, many of them in my garden, thanks to the blackbird. Just around about here was the Japanese ginger that these little crested pigeons have been eating. There's a little sparrow as well. They all tend to eat insects. They keep my bug population under control. At the top of the pecking order in the garden is Frank, our Aussie bulldog. He's people-oriented, affectionate, protective, enthusiastic, and these traits make him well suited to his current work in the garden as Chief of Security. He also plays an active role in Neighbourhood Watch program, as you can see. Good value, well worth the money. There are other creatures that work in my garden too, but they were on a rostered day off when the filming crew was on site, so missed out. Thanks for watching.